Okay, there we are. That's pretty much bang on according to the PC clock. Good evening everybody, due for XAT on behalf of the BATC Thursday Evening Net. 11 of us on so far, so it's a bit busier than it has been. I suspect people's shacks are cooler than they have been recently as well. I'm sitting in a loft room which a couple of days ago was uninhabitable unless you put the air source heat pump on. Anyway, I've been busy mostly on car projects, more of that next time round. As you know, Martin G4FKK is standing down as chairman, and in the interim period I have volunteered to fill the gap until at least CAT 25 in August. So volunteer committee members are always welcome. It's not particularly arduous, and in fact out of all the various committees I've had the pleasure of, this one is genuinely the best. Could also do the net controller as well, mainly because I've got a very busy couple of months involving other things, and I may not be available on Thursdays, as indeed Martin is unlikely to be as well, he told me. So I have been doing a bit of RF. I'll turn the mic gain up a tad and get a little closer to it. More on that along with a graph courtesy of Sat Sagan later. And I built an LED touch dimmer. It's quite a nice little circuit, and more on that later as well. So without further ado, keep it moving round please. There's 11 of us to squeeze in, and quite a few of those generally have a second over, but by all means please state if you've done after your first and I'll amend the list accordingly. So round to Martin, G8 KOE from G4XAT in the BA.
Yeah, you caught me out a little bit there. I was expecting you to go on a little bit long. Right, we've got sound. Right, we'll keep things moving on. Last week I did the streaming, and I used the SRT repeater, which if we go over to the images, that's basically what it looks like. It's got 4 Raspberry Pis, which are 4 inputs from the internet, etc, 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 right the way through to the laptop that does the streaming. So we thought, right, we'll just add in the ride receiver and HDMI switch to make life easier. But when I came to run it, I didn't have any sound. Well, I'd forgotten that my repeater, I pull off the analog sound and feed it into the sound card. So it was just the fact the capture card now obviously pulls in the audio as well. So that's how we did it last week. The other things I've been up to, what I will mention before anything else is I updated OBS to 3104 and all looked fine, all looked happy. I then updated to SDR television to the Beta 4, and I had no camera input in it, and I'm sort of going, it's a problem with Beta 4, you know. So I went back to Beta 3 and it was the same. So I then downgraded OBS. Then I realised that the plugin was missing. So when it was upgraded to OBS 31.0.4, it removed the plugin. So just a tip, put the plugin back and don't start blaming everybody else because you haven't noticed it. Anyway, as people probably may or may not know, it was SAQ at the weekend. And if we click over to that one, that was my SDR. Well, look, let's kill that audio there so as we don't have too much going on at the same time. So that's how things were set up. If I move things on a bit, because let's move on there. We can now see shortly, should do. Let's move it on a bit more. Oh, there we go. It's actually going at the moment. I'll put a bit of audio through. So that was my receive side of SAQ, and with the help of John, the window on the right hand side, he taught me how to make use of that and amplify things up. I also I didn't prepare this bit, but I've uploaded it to my YouTube website. I streamed it up there. Right, and if we go over to there, that's what it looks like. And if you were to disappear and have a look at it, if we go on this one, we'll mute the audio. But this is my SRT repeater, and we had John JTT inputting on channel 2. We had Rob VK3IE inputting signals from obviously Australia there, and me down the bottom. As you can see, things are sort of working, but as we move on, I'll have to move it on a little bit. If you look at particularly my pictures in the bottom right hand corner, suddenly, there we go, I've moved it on. Some interference came up and we were blotted out. Luckily there was a second transmission on the day, which I got okay. So but that sort of was a hook up between John, obviously, etc. Plus the signals also been put out on I think the repeaters over in BK land. So it was quite successful, really. Was quite human. But and getting back to Beta 4, now I think the receive looks much better. I've been playing around with various signals, and it's very difficult. Some signals you think, oh yes. I've been doing comparisons with OpenTuner and the Ride, which I can easily, and they're very similar on most signals. There was one signal I think earlier today, 500, which it looked as though it decoded, but I didn't get any picture. I haven't quite sort of worked out all the ins and outs of what's going and made logical approaches, but sometimes SDR television is quicker to decode things than I don't know, but anyway, Simon, I think it's a big improvement. It's a lot closer, but you'll be able to put things right. Right, I'm only going to make this one over as there's a big net tonight. I don't want to hold things up. And I shan't be doing the worldwide net this weekend because I'm going to watch the British Grand Prix. So I won't be hosting that. Right, I'll put a test card and put it over to you there, Simon, from G8 QO.
Come on. There we go. G4ELI. Apologise for the lip sync. I haven't set it up properly. Had a very sad experience a couple of days ago. The computer I normally use, which is my development machine, blew up. The power supply has gone. Fortunately it was under guarantee, and speaking to tech support at Overclockers, the guy's 99% sure it's the PSU that's gone and not the motherboard which took it out. So I haven't got my normal OBS studio installation in place. so I haven't been able to set the lip sync up. In fact, I only thought about lip sync about 10 minutes ago anyway. I won't be on the WWNet either. I will also be watching the racing. Good luck to everyone. And I've never remembered to listen to SAQ. I must give it a go sometime. Regarding Beta 4, yes, I spied a mistake in the constellation. You often see the constellation while you're receiving. Well, there are various gain factors and things, and I had one out a bit. That did help. And also changing the LDPC, part of the forward error correction, the low density parity check. I changed the algorithm at the recommendation of the guy who actually wrote it, Amit. And I do believe it's made a difference. I've also been working on tuning my dish together with Mike, MJW, who won't be on this evening. And so I've got that working better and been through the logic and the sums involved in comparing the signals he receives with his 2.4 metre dish and my 1.4 metre dish. And very grateful to Mike. He knows the theory. I suppose I ought to know it, but it's been so long since I did any proper mathematics. Anyway, so I got things running quite nicely. I'm quite sure I can get better receive, and I'll explain why. When we transmit, there's something called bandpass shaping. The filters are not square. When you look at signals, they're not square like that. They're curved at the top, and that's the bandpass shaping, and it uses a roll-off value. And there's no way of knowing what the roll-off value is that people may have selected. The recommended are 0.25 or 0.2, but so what I'm going to experiment with once I get my computer back from overclockers is actually running a group of matched filters on the receive side. I should say that whatever shape you transmit, your receive filter should match it. But of course, there can be distortion in your transmitter, your Pluto or your line. So I'm probably going to try running, say, 5 different receive filters and picking the output from the one which has got the most power in it. So that's what I've been up to, and as I am without a development machine, which is actually rather fantastic, everything is backed up to the cloud and other disks. I've been up in the attic where I have 11 years supply of cardboard boxes. I've always put them up in the attic with lots of other stuff, so I have an unholy amount of cardboard up there, and I'm working on getting all that down. So I've been talking for almost 4 minutes, which is enough from me. I'm sure you will all agree. So I will now pass it over to Dave, G8 GKQ. So this is all that remains of G4 ELI.
G4ELI and the net. G8 GKQ. Yeah, I seem to have a slightly louder audio than Simon, but good over Simon. And pleased to hear you're finding improvements in SDR television. That's good. I did think that somewhere in the metadata you were supposed to put what the roll-off is, but maybe I'm wrong on that. It's a long time since I've looked at it. First of all then, thank you very much to Gareth for stepping up as chairman. We do need to start moving things on the committee. My computer just tried to do something to me. Thanks to those who reported my audio hum earlier. I found what it was. I've got an audio isolation transformer in circuit, ironically to get rid of hum. But I put it too close to the toroid on my main 12-volt power supply. So I'll have to think of another location for that. It's dragged out on the bench at the moment. Wasn't around last week, of course, because I went to Friedrichshafen, ran the BATC stand there with Benno. Had a really good time, lots of visitors, including a lot of the Italians. It was good to try and talk to them. Some had good English, some not so good, but the communication was achieved. What did I buy? Some bits of semi-rigid, some with SMA connectors on, some without, because I'd run out of those. Some SMA relays, really boring, some solder wick and some, a solder sponge. Also gave a lecture there while I was there on the latest on Portsdown. Not a lot in it for the net users. I think most people will have seen most of it before. But if you want to look at the other lectures, they are on the BATC Wiki. There were 4 lectures there. In the shack, I'm working on the Portsdown 5, doing some software tweaks on it, hoping to get something out for people to try in a month or so's time, but transmit still seems to be a long way off. The other news is Cat25 tickets are available. You log into the BATC website, go into the BATC shop, buy a ticket. It costs you the princely sum of £0, which gets you entry into the Midland Air Museum, which usually costs £10.50, and you will then get an email with a download link in. Download the PDF document, and that is your ticket. Also, we'll be running a flea market at the at Cat25. I have a number of items there, but if anybody has any items they want on the flea market, either take them along yourselves or please get them to somebody who's going. Because that's one of the major attractions at CAT. Okay, I've waffled on for long enough, and this will be only one over. So round to James, G0DQH, and the net, G8GKQ.
I think it's EA73LI.
Yeah, I thought that too, James. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was looking at my running on. I think, how did I screw that up? But I checked it on the thing, and James is absolutely correct. It's my turn. Okay, very hot here, very hot, and it doesn't help that I haven't been able to get the air conditioning fixed on my motor car, which has now been broken for getting on for 3 weeks. I think 2 or 3 weeks. The earliest appointment I've managed to get so far is the 11th of July, which is another week, and all the garages are similar, if not worse. So if a better offer comes up in the meantime, I'll be there. But you certainly need it. I went out today in the car with the windows wound down, and it's very hot. And of course, when you stop, it's unbearable. So that's one problem that needs sorting out. On the radio side, or rather the software side, which I'm working on, this repeater software, which is dragging on a bit. I'm now on version 8 of the thing I'm doing, version 8, because and it still doesn't work, of course, because I'm absolutely lost with the GStreamer software, which I become more and more convinced that the developers only intended it ever to be used for players, because you know you can make a player. I mean, quite a few things do use it for players, but if it's used for anything else, people kind of keep it quiet and don't share it. So I battle on with that one. I got a tiny bit of it working, but not enough to call it a repeater. So that's why I'm on version 8, because I keep fine-tuning the software that I've got, the control software, you know, and messing around with that. So each time I approach it in a different direction for no reason whatsoever except I've got time, it becomes a new version. Whether it's better or worse than the previous one is debatable. So that's about it from me. No complaints about my audio this week. There were many complaints the week before. I wasn't on last week, but I had that echo thing, which it mysteriously comes and goes. I haven't got down to the root cause of that. No idea. It comes and goes. I can't figure out where it's coming from. So I'll hand over to James, G0DQH from EA7KIR on the Thursday night BATC net. Over to you, James.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Just sort myself out here. There we go. Yeah, we've been, Mo and I have been away for a week or so. We travelled down to North Devon, which is Bideford, which is my own hometown. And for the second time, we stayed at a very nice B&B at the east side of the river. And we always visit Cornborough Cliffs when we go down there. If you have a look online sometime, it's near Abbotsham. Abbotsham is just a couple of miles outside of Bideford, and you walk down a lane along this path, down over 2 fields, and you end up on the beach. We sat at the top and had crisps, etc., and just chatted to people walking by. And very good views there from the cliffs, what the locals call the cliffs, and good views out over to Lundy Island. And one of the other places we visited was a place called Bucks Mills, and you don't have to use the car park at the top. It's a bit windy to drive down there, but we parked halfway down. Being a local, we know where to park, of course, and walked down to the beach. And if you look to the left, you can actually see Clovelly, and of course Hartland Point, where there's a lighthouse there, and a good view again of Lonely Island. So it was a good time down there, and I visited most people I had to, my brothers and friends, etc. But being now fully retired, we travelled down midweek, and it was a doddle, and the same coming back, ignoring the weekend, of course, when all the changeovers occur at the various B&Bs, etc. So we had a very good trip down and back. So here we've talk about the heat. It's been absolutely awful. 29 degrees in Chandler's Ford. We've had the ceiling fan going on all night, and 2 air conditioners in the bedroom as well, and all the windows open to try and keep cool. But it's a lot cooler tonight, thankfully, and all the windows of course are open. I've turned the air conditioners on, and so by the time we get to bed, it should be nice and cool, hopefully. I think that's about it. There's only the one over from me, but I will stay till the end and earwig, okay? And I think I've mentioned everything. But if you look, Bucks Mills is very similar to Clovelly, but it doesn't cost anything to actually go down through the village. It's all thatched cottages, just very similar to Clovelly, and there's quite a nice beach there as well. And I've actually fished off there for mackerel in my younger days. Okay, I'll call it a night, but I will be, as I said, watching the rest of the evening. Okay, G0DQH in Chandler's Ford, now dropping carrier.
Okay, thank you, James. G4HJW. Yes, the temperature's been very variable here as well. Weather is normally very mild in Cambridge, but we had 2 days that were very hot. We had one 32-degree day and one 30. But on both those days, I put the aircon on, first time this year. So those were actually 2 of the easy days. That off. It's just the way things turn out. I have a small chiller, which I use most of the time, and then the pucker taking a lot of current, old Chinese one, that's very effective. The weekend up at Finningley, the temperature almost got to be uncomfortable, but not quite. So that turned out to be, I was expecting it to be very, very hot up there. So while the classier people went to Friedrichshafen, I was up there in Finningley along with John G7JTT, not on today, and Dave G6GZH. Hi Dave. I thought the weekend went really well up there, considering Kevin didn't put a list of a timetable list up until, well, only a few days before the event. There was a good amount of people there, I think. Oh, now I'm not watching the text on this over because Simon, I finally got round to taking your comments on the video here. To heart. It's to heart? Yes, I'll say that. So I've got rid of the pilot tone. It took me ages to find that. The way my mind works is quite strange. If I spend long enough, I can do quite well. But the most basic function, like just going through, well, how many pages are there on DATV Easy? Very few, and it's taken me, what, over a month to actually find the pilot tone box. But I changed the camera to a very cheap internet camera and a couple of other things, and I think I think it's improved it quite a lot in terms of the slow update rate, which I didn't really find in the software. So I think I've achieved results, but not necessarily in an understanding way. I'll just do this over as well. Oh, SAQ, of course, with Finningley, I completely missed it yet again, so I was pleased to see that video, just to see what sort of sound the signal was. Last year I was all ready to listen. I think it was last year, or one of the events last year, and I don't know what problem they had, but it kept tripping, so I never got to see it live. Hope Friedrichshafen was okay. Finningley, particularly the junk room, was amazing. But we're doing the... Oh yes, a report on the converters. We had 7 people building on the Saturday, and that really took all day. I never got to really look at the junk. And of those 7, 6 finished, and the converter was working, some with a little bit of luck at and some not, and one guy didn't finish, but he did that the next day. And Kevin was telling me he had 3 the next day. So that was 10 kits. I think that was good enough. And there was 20 made, so they're all left up there. But one thing we talked about afterwards, I'll just show this, one little bit of stuff I've been doing. I don't think it'll focus on that. Kevin was saying midweek when we had a catch-up that we were talking... Oh, because at Finningley we had LMB on a tripod just looking at QO 100 narrowband, no dish, and projecting that up on the screen. And it looks pretty impressive. Admittedly, we had the bandwidth notched right down, so the signals looked a lot stronger than they actually were if you were decoding them. CW beacons were okay, but the SSB was not too good. And we thought afterwards it would be good to be able to have the LMB. The handheld is okay in its own right, but it would be good to have another version where we had the LMB and then a remote 25 meg reference, which is CMOS. So I quickly got down to that, and that's only followed with a 74 AC 14. That works a treat. I've been using it here through 30 meters of cable, so I think that'll be next Finningley's. And having the converter being so simple really worked, I think. Previous years the projects have been too complicated. I've got loads of notes here, but I've had my allotted spell. Gareth, I'll let you know, knock me off the list, but if I'm in the right place at the right time, I'll stick a note down and come back on again. So it's on to you, Colin. See what you've been up to. Thanks for the report earlier, and the same with you, Dave, as well, on the video. I may be out of focus because I didn't say, yes, I am a bit out of focus and I'm sat back here. So Colin, G4XJW, putting it over to you when I bring my, we'll have that card on, see what that one looks like. Oh yeah, that looks okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bernie. Great, that's it. Let's just quickly get onto this camera. There we go. That actually worked that time. Excellent. Yes, very good indeed. Yes, I saw you earlier, Bernie. That was very good. I think with the daylight coming through, that was the picture was even better. But that was fine that time. That was good. Yeah, I think in the past it's been a bit dark in there, but it's yeah, it's great now, so that's really good. Okay then, what else have I've made a few notes as well. I'll just run through them quickly, I guess, really. Yeah, Cat 25, yeah, hopefully going up there. Well, I will be going up there. Bringing the XYL, so I'll have to get those tickets organised. There's a bit of a argument about which car we're taking. So well, discussion about that, so we'll see. We'll see whether we're taking hers or not. She may wander off. We'll have to see. Oh dear. Oh yeah, I'll just be doing the one over for this time. I'm on the early shift this week, so I'll need to get finished. I haven't had my dinner yet, so that's a little bit late. But so she's been out doing stuff, so that's okay then. Oh, Gareth mentioned Satsagen. Apparently there's a new version out, so I imagine that's what you've been doing. So I haven't downloaded it myself yet, but just been really busy, really. And okay on the OBS plugin disappearing. I think Martin mentioned that. That's something to look out for. I wouldn't have thought of that. Usually that does stay when you upgrade, but obviously it didn't this time. So look out for that. Oh yeah, you were mentioning about the 500 kilohertz symbol you didn't get. There was a H.266 signal on earlier, which I was very much enjoying actually. Cracking picture. I guess it was 4K. My monitor isn't 4K, but but I put it on full screen and it was like, wow, that's that's amazing. That the H.266 is really good, but unfortunately there's a bit at the moment. There's a bit of a delay in that, so it's not so suitable for QSOs because the latency is just a little bit too long. Well, just quite a bit too long, really. But apart from that, it works. Cracking pictures. Really, that was really good indeed. What else have I got on my notes here? I've been playing with a program on my phone, which my sister-in-law put me onto, called Merlin, which is tells you bird song, and it's absolutely brilliant. This program called Merlin. The downside is that XYL wanted to have it on her phone, and her phone isn't good enough. You can't have it on that version of the iOS, unfortunately. So she's angling for a new phone now, just to get that. So that's going to be that's a bit awkward, but been fascinating. I've learned a few of the basic bird song. I hadn't paid much attention before, but there we are. Simon will be interested. He probably knows all about that, but he probably knows all the bird songs anyway, really, without that. But there we go. Okay, that'll probably do for me for the time being. I've been doing stuff in VLF stuff. I'm sort of building a little thing here for VLF. I missed SAQ because I was working at the time. I've never seen it yet. I'm determined before it. I'm thinking I've got to be careful because how long can they keep it going? Not indefinitely, I'm sure. So I'll get it one day. I did have a good go here. Previously and I thought, right, everything's cool. We're set up for this. Got the Discovery Plus and all the rest of it. Everything should be good, but unfortunately, it's just too noisy here. Just too noisy. Didn't get it at all. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but never mind. We'll get on with that. Right, okay then, that'll do. I'll say 7 I won't come back on again. I'll stay as long as I can, obviously. So over to Russ then. G4SAQ to take it. G4KLB. Okay, we'll go for a test card. We'll try it.
Okay, G4KLB in the group. This is G4SAQ. Very good evening to everyone. Just mute my audio. Yeah. Okay, nice to see so many people on the net, and I will only be on for one over, Gareth, because I'm expecting Helen to come back from from her dancing soon. I think I've told you she had a replacement hip operation a little while ago. I believe Colin's wife had the same thing. Anyway, my wife is now walking without her crutches, and so that's good. So she was able to go to the dance for the first time tonight, first time for a long time, and she's going to take it easy, but not stay too long. Martin, Gareth, thanks for running the net, by the way. Should have said that right at the beginning. Martin, if you are listening, get well. I've only had COVID once, mercifully, touch wood, and really don't want it again, most unpleasant. And I want to say good evening to the Dartmouth crew, Malcolm, Dave, and all the others, and enjoy your breakfast tomorrow at the Sportsman. Something I'm sure you always look forward to every week. The comments about OBS, I think it was Martin said it, upgrade to 31.0.4. I've done that and I haven't had any problems with the plugin dropping out. So I think it's something that is a bit unpredictable, and clearly something to just keep an eye out for. Oh, okay, yeah, I see your comment, Colin. Yes, well, I'm glad your wife is doing well. Not up to driving yet. Well, my wife has she's just been driving for the last week, so so it's excellent. The comment about Merlin was interesting. I'll have to have a look and see if it's available on Android, because I only have an Android phone. Don't have iOS here. And there was something else I was going to mention, but no, it's gone out of my head now. I know what it was. I'm playing around with an old Pluto, and it seems to receive very well indeed, but I can't get a peep out of it on transmit. I've put a very sensitive power meter on it, and my working Pluto will show about minus 26 dBm on this frequency, but I can't get a peep out of the other one. And I've checked all of the firmware, latest firmware in there from Analog Devices, got all of the settings correct, and still nothing whatsoever. So I think maybe it's a fault in one of the chips on the board, probably irretrievable. But there we are. I expect the receive side of it will be useful for something or other. Okay, it's round to Peter in hopefully sunny Wales to take it. GW7BZY in the group. This is G4SAQ, putting up a test card and then dropping carrier. Good night.
Just going to check that I've got some audio. Hopefully we're getting audio. Just going to check that I've got some audio. Hopefully. Yeah, audio. Okay, great stuff. Weather's not that bad here actually. I know it hasn't been very hot. It hasn't been 30, that's for sure. And anything less than that, I think not overly hot anyway. KO, all good stuff there, Martin. Yeah, I like your diagram. Anyway, who was it saying something about Mike, KIR, Echo. Now I had a similar problem. I was on Zoom, in our local Zoom meeting for the GBCTM group, and I was having an echo, quite a long echo, delay on it. And what was happening was the Windows was grabbing the device as its default microphone, the capture device, and then it was also going into vMix, and the version from vMix obviously was much delayed over the direct capture. So I wonder if that is the kind of thing that's happening, that your computer is picking it up before and after it goes through your software. I'm sure you're using OBS. I don't know what you use, to be honest with you, so that might be completely red herring. But anyway, just a thought. I'm excited by the fact that there is a television, SDR television version 4 or beta 4. So give that a go. Hopefully that might work for me. I have not convinced, but there we are. The good thing is happening around here. I don't know if anybody's had the experience, but I've noticed the telephone poles have a yellow band on them, and I was just talking to an engineer, and apparently we're getting fibre to the premises, all the buildings around here, all the estate, etc. So I'm hoping anyway, well, that's going to improve my HF, and I might actually be able to get the HF radio hooked up and get something. Yes, I've got a ring main LAN system, but I can always run a cable to around the building to the thing in the living room, the router. Russ, 266. I wonder who was using 266. Chris, it wasn't Russ, it was Chris. Whether that was you or KLB, I don't know. But I've been trying 266, and my PC is not up to it. So I wonder what PC, if it's you, what PC you were using. Anyway, I might have a comment on my sound. Mike, if you come on again, or anybody else. Running, I think, 6-band dynamic processing plus a microphone processor with de-essing and every bell and whistle. Just something I pulled off the rack behind me. The old VHS recorder now has been moved along, and the two of the devices that are up there are now connected in line, just so I can see the lights flashing as I speak, just for whatever reason. There we go. From GW7BZY over to, I think it's, I've written it down here, it's going to, it's EBF, isn't it? EFB from GW7BZY. We'll go with the Q zoom.
Good evening, all. Have we got some audio? Yeah, we've got some audio. Very good evening, all. Thanks to Gareth for running the net this evening. Really appreciated. Thanks to Dave GKQ for all the hard work with Cat 25. Really looking forward to that. I've just got my ticket, so thanks for the hint on that, Dave. And organising the meal in on the Saturday. So looking forward to that. We're all booked. The car's booked on the ferry. We're going to drive up, dropping the XYL off with some friends. So she's going to stay there for the weekend, and I'm heading up for Cat 25. So really looking forward to it. So thanks again for all those for organising it. WX been very hot down here. We've hit 30+ degrees, and that's with the sea breeze. But lunchtime and evenings, better go and take a dive in the sea and cool off a little bit. So it's got its advantages living here on this rock. Anyway, what else have I been up to? I've been yeah, sorry, I knew there was going to be a hiccup there. Sorry, Ross and everyone. But yeah, GPS DO and works really well. So I think you got the gist of it. Anyway, a few of us on, so let's put up the test card and we'll put it back to Gareth. G4.
Aha, okay. Thought you'd catch me unawares, eh? Very nearly did, due for XAT. Yeah, well, thanks for keeping it short, everyone. We're whizzing round, and there's quite a few signed out for a second go. OBS plugin upgrade. Well, some software just works, doesn't it? I'm trying to think of something I've upgraded recently. I think it might have been the Prusa Slicer software for my 3D printer. It says, you're running an older version, would you like to uninstall it first? Yes, please. And it uninstalls the old one and puts a new one in. It's like, come on, people, just make it easy for us users, please. Anyway, well done, Martin, on adding a ride to your comprehensive forwarding capabilities, and I hope you get the audio sorted on that. Sounds as though you're close to fixing it. And SAQ, yes, I'm sure I've listened for it once, but as people have said, the modern noisy environment, unless you've got something fairly specific, it's probably not going to work very well. So maybe one day. And of course, if you're trying to do VLF through the earth, it's so bone dry down here. I mean, the lawn is scorched, and we don't cut it. We had a no-mow May and a no-mow for much of June as well, and it looked nice. But then the weeds, which are called cat's ears, because the leaves on the base bit are furry, just like a cat's ear. They flowered. They looked lovely, really nice. And then, of course, they went to seed, and I thought, well, I'm not composting that because it'll turn my vegetable patch into a weed fest. Anyway, my neighbour let me put my lawn clippings in his green waste bin, so that sorted that out. Beta 4, I haven't had a chance to go near that software since it was first released, and it works fine on my laptop, so I haven't got a moment for weeks yet, so it'll have to wait, but it's looking good, following it with interest, as they say. A bit ironic, isn't it, that an audio isolating transformer then picks up the mains hum. Good luck with that, Dave. I can't think of a solution other than separating them. And they wrap them in something. Isn't there a way of magnetic screening? Or am I getting myself lost there? And air conditioning in your car. Well, if there's no fault with the system, Michael, if it's just lost its gas, you might find you're lucky if you've got really good motor factors there. They'll sell you a sort of semi-pro, semi-amateur refill kit that'll do 3 regassings, complete with the connectors and the gauge and so on. I bought one from Halfords here for about 70 quid. I've got a trade card for Halfords, which is useful for a little bit of discount. And it did the trick on mine. My car had been little used by the previous owner for about 3 years, mainly because of COVID and old age, I think. And the aircon system all worked, but it didn't really cool the air, i.e. the compressor kicked in, which means that there was a bit of pressure in the system. So I thought, well, I'll take a chance, I'll gas it up and see what happens. Bingo! 2.5 years later, it's still working. So that's good. You can also use propane, which is actually a really wonderful refrigerant, except it's flammable. So good luck with that. James, I note you've changed your shack layout, and your transmitted picture is much clearer and hasn't got the glare from the hall light or whatever that it used to have. Much nicer to watch. Temperature wise, well, London hit 34.7, and we weren't far behind in the suburbs either. I was out working in that. I could hardly keep up with the required amount of water. Birdsong app, yeah, I don't subscribe to Apple products, I'm afraid, so if there's an Android version that would be good. About the only one I know is Blackbird, and because they sing so well. We've got some raucous crows, flying rat pigeons, and magpies, which make a horrible noise. Glad the hip replacements are working well. My mother-in-law is now 92, and she fell and broke a hip, and she's never really recovered properly, though she does drive, and it's an automatic, which makes that easier. Russ, does it work on Satsagan? I'm sure you've probably tried that. Worth a thought. And if you want, I've got 2 dead Plutos here that both suffered power supply failures. If you fancy trying to trace or swap bits over, you'd be very welcome to them. I very much doubt they'd sell. And fibre coming to Wales, well, that's good. That is, It really is good news, Peter. Especially if it cuts the noise. I think the problem I have is not so much overhead cabling, it's everybody's electronic gadgetry and power supplies for it. Anyway, right, things I've done. Right, okay. That's a little tiny 2.4 gigahertz bandpass filter. Less than £2 delivered from AliExpress. So I thought, well, it's worth a look. So I can't show you the picture at the moment, but I'll describe its bandpass. Is about 2.2 gig up to about 2.6 and a little bit. Pretty reasonable insertion loss, 2.5, 3 dB, and the skirts go down to minus 30 at 1800. So it's not likely to do much real filtering, I don't think, but it might help. I think those SAW filters are the business. They really do sort things out, don't they? Okay, the little LED board, well, this is it. It's touch controlled. Okay, so that's washed me right out. And you can dim it down and it stays there, and you can touch it and it goes off. It's a custom IC with a number still on it, and those were 7 for less than £8, because you got free delivery if you spent £8. So I thought I'll try that. So I've got an idea for bedside lights and things. Okay, yes, they are disco light effects. It's the Venetian blind and the sun setting. It only happens in the summer months, and then the sun is already set before it reaches this sort of time of day. And here's something that I thought was worth showing. You all remember the days of fluorescent lamps, I'm sure. I built this in late 80s because Maplin Electronics published a circuit to drive a fluorescent tube from 12 volts, and I thought it can make a 60 watt incandescent equivalent torch. It's in acrylic tube which I painted up and so on. There's a massive 500 milliampere hour diac cells in there to give you the 12 volts, and the feedback resistor is on a resistor in the circuit, so you can drive it harder or softer and therefore vary the light. And it works really well. Worked, doesn't work anymore. Batteries have died a long time ago, but you think what you can do with LEDs now. So on the basis of that little circuit I just showed, you can buy strips or cob LEDs, chip on board, for peanuts. Once again, AliExpress. There you can choose your voltages and your wattages and so on. And you think just how much LEDs have changed. Remarkable, isn't it? A bit of progress. A bit like analog AM 70 SEMS TV and the luxury we've got now. So make the most of it. Right, finally, a picture. This is the kit car body. It's a fiberglass shell, originally reddy orange and then painted black and then blue by previous owners. It's got a plywood floor that's fiberglassed in. Two of you can lift that with no glass in it and so on. So I rubbed it all down. I'm not looking for a concours finish on this. We're just looking for a coat of paint. So it went through the piebald look, and then it turned green, finest NATO green. It's what I call a 10-yard paint job. Looks alright from 10 yards. In all honesty, it's really not that bad. It suits the vehicle. Those are the lilies in my garden, beautiful things. And that's the roof. It was black fiberglass, and as you can see now, it's a colour called anthracite. But I always thought anthracite was black. Never mind. It goes very well with that. And that looks like spilt beer. Well, it is. It was a can of alcohol-free beer that decided it was going to ferment, and it went off while I was eating my dinner the other night with an almighty bang. must have been the heat, and made the mess that you see there. So, thanks for making the space. You've now had to endure a bit of a waffle from me. So apologies for that. I trust that Simon is coming back for a second one. Otherwise, looking at my list, it'll be Michael. So give him 10 or 15 seconds, Michael. And if Simon doesn't pop up, then by all means, hit transmit. And I think we can, well, if you want to pop up, I've still got Peter on the list, I think, and Keith, who did a very short over. And tell us a bit more about that gadget, because I could see something was happening and you were selecting things, but I couldn't see exactly what. So, quick test card and then round to you. G4 ELI, if you're still there. G4.
Oh, there we go, that works. Back to something not quite as pretty. G4 ELI. Right, a few comments. Temperatures, well, I'm 5 miles southwest of Falmouth, just north of the Lizard, and it's not been over warm. It's been very pleasant. Certainly far more pleasant than being up country. It's been around about 20 degrees or so. You can see a bit of a tan on myself, but it's been very nice. Bernie, if you're still watching, much better transmission. One suggestion, look through the options you've got in DATV Easy. Find out how to select H265. You're transmitting H264. H265 would come through better, I do believe. Now then, H266 is actually not part of the DVB S2 specification, but you can use whatever you want as long as you adhere to the specs for defining alternate codecs. What else? Oh, Merlin. Yes, wonderful application. Does work on Android, I believe. A neighbour of mine's got one on Android. Blackbirds do sing very nicely because they're members of the thrush family, which, of course, used to sing a lot, but song thrushes are not singing anything like as much as they used to. And Beta 4, SDR Television Beta 4, I wasn't planning on releasing Beta 4. You can see the flipping hairy hound down here. But it is decoding much better. That I can say. It's decoding a lot better. Haven't had any issues at all this evening, so that's very pleasing. And yes, making software install properly is good. I don't like it when you want to install a new version. It says you must uninstall the previous version. Installers should really make it as painless as possible. I do agree with that. The issue with OBS is it probably, after doing the upgrade, it probably no longer knew it had the virtual camera installed. The virtual camera I'm using, there are actually two of them. The one I'm using supports, and I just remember what it actually does support. Supports DirectX. It supports the Microsoft Media Foundation virtual camera. There's another one which supports Direct Show, two different APIs. Direct Show being old, but I'm using the Microsoft Media Foundation classes or API, and that's the one we lost. One thing I will do is I'll update the manual while I'm waiting for my development machine to be repaired. So there we go. That's it from a very pleasant, very nice part of the world. All these people moving down to Spain and complaining about the heat. I've been reading various things online about the number of people who have air conditioning at home. Well, I have no air conditioning whatsoever. I'm not exactly on a hill, but I'm on undulating land, and I'm at the top of that. So any breeze, I just open the windows in the house. It never gets too hot, and if the dog gets too warm, he goes into the garage with the door open in the garage. He just lies on the floor of the garage, or he goes in the garden next to the hedge. So, Gareth, thanks for running the show. Shame to hear. I believe you were saying that Martin's got COVID. My neighbour's had COVID. It had a very rough time of it. 7-3, everybody, and see you next week. I do I do hope. So over to Spain. Bye-bye, G4 ELI.
We seem to be working. Yes, I think we're working. Yes, we're working. Yeah, a lot of picture freezing during you're over there, Simon. In fact, it was frozen more than it was moving, so it was a bit difficult to judge the lip sync. But my best guess is that lip sync was also way out. But picture freeze, with all the picture freezes, it was very difficult to even get a guess on the lip sync because it never moved long enough to figure it out. It's probably down to Windows. Peter, yeah, ignore the comments on the chat about your audio. They're a bit over the top in my opinion. Your audio was, it might not be perfect, but it was very acceptable. Until you actually mentioned it, I hadn't noticed anything about it. It just sounded okay, you know. It sounds okay. It sounds almost as though you're not using any processing at all, which is something I go on about. I don't really see, it doesn't bother me hearing room acoustics or a bit of fan noise or whatever's going on in the room. I mean, I don't use any of that. I've got the window wide open. If the dog barks, you're going to hear it, you know. I mean, what's the problem, you know? I don't have a problem with it. There are risks with gating because it can clip the ends and the beginnings of words and then you lose intelligibility. It's just safer not to do it, you know. Have the mic close enough but not too close, and the background extraneous noises go down according to the reciprocal rule. It is a rule, I think, isn't it? But just going on to the echo, mine wasn't strictly an echo. I did watch it back on YouTube to see what people were talking about, and it's quite difficult to describe actually. But it was almost like a double sound, but no, it was too close to call it an echo, and it wasn't. It was a kind of a cross between reverberation and echo. There is a difference. And it's happened once before, and I never found out what was causing it. But I played around with it a few days after the week last Thursday when it occurred, and it repeated. You know, it was still work. It was still had the problem. It still had the problem. So I messed around. I checked. No, I'm not rerouting the camera mic or anything like that. The camera mic doesn't even come up on the mixer actually. So there's only one source. So there's only two places where it could go wrong. I don't use OBS or anything like that. I use a hardware vision mixer, you know, switcher, you know, with a T-bar, that kind of thing. I suppose it could, the firmware in that could throw wobbly and that could cause it, I suppose. But so I rebooted that and it made no difference. So then the only other place is at the transmitter side, you know, in particular the Pluto, because it just goes straight out of, well actually it goes through an encoder, doesn't it, hardware encoder. Anyhow, the only thing that made the problem go away, I changed from 32,000 bit rate audio to 48,000, and that cured it. But it could have been because I rebooted the whole system as well, couldn't it? I don't know. I have no idea. So I have no idea what causes that. And then Gareth, you commented on my air conditioning problem. Thank you. I've been to a couple of garages actually, and the first one checked the gas and said it was okay, and he fixed the air conditioning, but it only lasted for a few hours and then it stopped working. So I didn't go back there. And then I found another garage, and they spent some time investigating, and they put the gas machine on it, and I don't know whether they put any gas in or not, but it didn't cure it, and they didn't charge me. But the earliest, well, I haven't even got a date from them. They said the end of August. End of August. So I've got this other one, which they haven't even looked at the car. I've done it on the phone, and I've got an appointment for the 11th, which is a week tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But I think it's looking towards the compressor, which terrifies me, because my car is 14 years old now, and I don't feel like spending Land Rover prices for a new compressor. But I think that's what it's going to come down to, unless they happen to have a used one kicking around. But I think it's unlikely. I'm just reading there's a comment here. I don't know if it's it's from Chris. I'm cancelling my hearing test. Thanks for being cheeky about the comfort and horrors on Peter's audio. Had a hint of Voice America subtle audio, Voice of America subtle echo. I didn't detect any of that, but maybe you have your speaker a lot louder than I do, and you were more aware of it. I wasn't aware of it, actually. As I say, it sounded, at the volume I was listening to, it sounded perfectly acceptable to me. I'm more concerned with levels, actually, and Peter gets it right. Simon was absolutely low in the beginning, but he did wind it up for his second order over, but not quite far enough, but it was better. Levels annoy me more than anything else, because I hate having to adjust the volume control all the time. But that's just me, isn't it? You know. I used to be an audio engineer, and still think I am. So, I don't think I've got anything else to add. Let's see if I made any notes. Explain what was up to not the gas. I've done that, yeah. Okay then, so it's back to Peter with the acceptable audio. In Wales, well, it never rains. GW7BZY from EA7KIR in very sunny Spain and very hot, consistently over 30. And it shouldn't be that. I mean, it's obviously going to get up to 40 in a few weeks' time. But, you know, the great part about Spain, you only have to put up with this for what seems like forever, but in reality, it's only 6 weeks, 2 months. And then the rest of the year, including winter, is wonderful. You know, I mean, very little rain, but very moderate temperatures for the other 10 months of the year. So you can't have it always, can you? You can't have it always. You know, I'm from Yorkshire, and it was an event if you saw a blue sky, especially if you saw a blue sky without any clouds at all. I can only remember that ever happening about 3 times in my life, I think. The rest of the time it's pretty cloudy. You don't get that here. You don't. But who knows, it might change, because everything's changing. So, over to you, Peter, from EA7 KAR on the BATC 39 net, and thank you to Gareth for running the net, of course. Put up the card.
Okay, maybe I'm in. Okay, sorry, I'd gone off actually. I have got a gate going, but it's not. I'd gone off. So you see that I'm at 100% now rather than the 20 by 35 by 235 or whatever. Anyway, regardless of all that, so I've just put the camera on. Yeah, I think there is some noise in the background. The gate is not gating, hard gate. It's just. Am I still transmitting? Am I in? It's looking black to me. It is gating a little bit, and there is quite a loud fan in here. So and maybe the echo is from some of the hard surfaces, which isn't really very hard. But behind me here, there is perhaps that would be the echo being picked up by the compression. But yeah, it seems to be quite a spread of opinion there on my audio. Some saying there was a lot of hash in it, which I wouldn't be surprised because the fan on the PA, I've taken the power restriction off it, and it's very loud. Of course, and I've got breath on. I've got de-essing and breath on the so it holds the gate, the level whilst I stop in between words for a period. I've got a de-esser going as well. So there we are. And thanks for the level being correct. It's probably not minus 23 luff. I don't know if you did look at the auction. Kit Plus were having an auction on broadcast gear quite recently. There was a lovely camera there. It was Twix, but obviously it would go up. I didn't see the last I looked at it was about $8,000, but it was the very latest, or the current, shall I say, Sony broadcast field camera, the PXW's 750 Z750, which is a really nice bit of 4K kit. But it had PPM meters and a luff meter there, Mike. So excellent bits of kit there, as well as tripods and loads of other things as well. All of it going at a good price. But yeah, hopefully that's a good taste of my now 10 band. I'm not sure how many bands of compression this thing has. I think it's 6 or 8. There's 12. There's 12, but of course they're joined as stereos, and then working digitally. The microphone processor and the overall dynamic processor to get a level, an average level. I don't know how much compression is going on in the second device because there's quite a lot of limiting going on in the microphone mixer, so I don't know. And of course, I'm using this camera top microphone, which works pretty well. The gain in the processor isn't enough to work the large dynamic microphone correctly. It just starts to hiss. So I could use an inline XLR booster, but I'm working with what I got. I've still got another couple of devices on the rack there. I've got the TC Electronics, which is the pro bit of gear, and then there's the another Behringer stereo audio processor below it. I used to collect them when I used to work in the old Morn FM. When you do OB, I used to take my racks down and murder the audio for the FM. But louder is obviously better. I know that's going to make value, isn't it, Mike? But there we are. This is GW7BZ. Well, I've got no idea who I'm handing it to. I wasn't going to come back. I had just sent a message saying that I wasn't coming back, but I've had a bit of a ramble. There we go. Catch you all next week. This is GW7BZY saying thank you, 73, and thank you for having me on. With a pause. Well, with a cube zoom.
GW7BZY, GU6EFB. Yeah, we've got some work. Yeah, your audio's not as good as I've heard from you, Peter. Sounds like you're using a Vox. Lots of strenuous noises going on as well, so it's, to my ears, it's intelligible, but it's not nice to listen to. So that's my comment. I'm not going to criticise more on that because my audio is sometimes awful and sometimes there's no audio at all. So let's switch back to this. do we still have audio? Yeah, we still have some audio by the sounds of it. Yeah, right, okay. Right, apologies for that. Well, this is my home-built GPS DO in a BATC approved blue box with a blue display. It's got a 1 meg output and a 10 meg output on the front, and I can select with that switch latitude, longitude, and locator and altitude, and then I can see how many satellites we're receiving and information about the satellites. Hold it and go back, and then it can go back to the date and time. It's got 4 10 meg outputs on the back with some filtering and a little homemade splitter board there. Can I get that to look better? There we go. Will it zoom? Yeah. The battery holder is for a battery to increase the lock time when it's been powered down. Uses a Jupiter GPS. Underneath is a home-built board with a 10 meg 080XO on it, which is disciplined by the GPS DO. Simple little unit, works. Really impressed with it. A few evenings worth of work to build it all up. So it's in the same size case that the Winter Hill sits in. So it's going to sit on the shelf and do the job. And little power on LED and a 1 pps LED just flashing away there to tell you it's working. So that was the success story this week. Just reading the thing. Not a lot else from here, so let's give Gareth plenty of warning that we're going to hand it back to you, Gareth, from GU6EFB.
Thanks, Keith. That's excellent, G4XAT. Won't mess with test cards at this point in time. Right, I've located the picture of the passband. That's it. I mean, yeah, it's better than nothing, but I've seen better interdigital filters and things which will exceed that, but then they cost a lot more than £2 delivered with 2 ASMAs on it. But I was curious, you know, how it is. Curiosity. Yeah, the audio it's intelligible, Peter. It's loud. It's up there with all the people running the right level. But it sounds like the adverts do to me. Yeah, the adverts come on and they are full on, and I hit the mute button. I listened to what you said, but it's as Keith said, I think it's not as nice as you sometimes have on. Okay, Jupiter GPS. That's good, that, Keith. Is it all homebrewed? I know they put out 10 meg on their own, don't they, the Jupiters, which is why they remain popular. And somewhere I've got a couple that I probably bought about 10 or 15 years ago when they were the sort of de facto buy them cheap while stocks last. Anyway, good net. Song thrushes. I haven't seen one here in the garden. Oh, probably over 20 years, unfortunately. They were the prettiest of birds, and I haven't even got a blackbird at the moment. I had one there for years. Used to come home from work, sit in the garden with a cup of tea and listen to it singing. Anyway, such is life. Okay, have a good weekend, everybody. Weather here is tolerable now. It's calmed right down. In fact, this afternoon we had fair weather cumulus that looked like the opening screen of The Simpsons. All the flat bottoms of the clouds were visible. About 50% cloud cover, or 4 octa, I believe is the technical term. Be good if I got rid of the picture of a graph, wouldn't it? There we are. Okay, the comments are worth their weight in gold, aren't they? It's a shame you can't archive them. Anyway, thanks everybody for your input. A wide-ranging net as always, and stay safe. And see you next Thursday. I should be back from my various exploits, and I'm not sure who's running the net. I might open a thread on the BATC forum. Feel free to volunteer. There's no particular skill required, as you can clearly tell. And really, it's just a matter of using the chat and keeping a beady eye on that and seeing what's going on. And there's the amp speeding up because it's had 5 minutes. Okay, finally, 7-3s everybody. See you further down. G4XAT is closing the BATC Thursday evening net. Thank you all for your contributions. Good night.